You know, it's been a while since we've done a State of the Collection video. I kind of wanted to get the collection to a new spot where I have some new stuff to show you guys. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold, so I probably sound kind of nasally. But I just added a new piece in the last video, and I feel like we're at a good spot now, so let's do it. I'm gonna divide the SOTC this year into two parts. The first part, this video, I'm gonna cover some of the more established brands, and in the next video, we'll talk about my collection of Seikos and some micro brands that have stood the test of time. Listen, watch collecting can be a lonely hobby, and watching me behind the screen doesn't count. So you can change that by jumping on the WatchCrunch app. Thousands of watch nerds around the world are online at any given moment, drooling over wrist shots. So come join us. The newest watch in the collection is the Tudor Pelagos FXD GMT. In some ways, this replaces my 5-digit Rolex sub. For a Submariner, it wore much better than anything modern 6-digit, but I just kind of got tired of it. I thought it lacked a little bit of color. The vintage bracelet never felt super secure on the wrist. In some ways, I've just been waiting for the perfect Tudor to come along. This started in 2018 when the Black Bay 58 first came out, and Tudor has inched closer and closer to that it watch for me. The 58 had round hour markers that always bothered me, too many shapes on the dial. It felt like a geometry test. The Black Bay Pro was just a little thick. The regular Pelagos was just too big in every dimension. The FXD though, at 12 millimeters, wears a lot easier. The GMT just had the right amount of color on the dial to give this watch the it factor that I was looking for. No, you can't have a bracelet with this watch, but a variety of NATO straps fit this beauty, and it's a small price to pay for such a gorgeous, rugged dive-style GMT. Second on this list is a watch that you guys have seen before if you are a longtime viewer of the channel. This is my trusty Broad Arrow Speedmaster. This watch isn't super exciting per se, just like the sub is kind of a monochromatic look, but it's just managed to stick around. And once I switched over to the new 3861 President style bracelet, it just kind of completed this watch. This wasn't a cheap mod, costing about $1,000, but the watch wears so much more comfortable on my 6.5-inch wrist now. I must admit, I was tempted early this year by the new First Omega in Space. That is a special watch. Basically like a modern vintage remake of the smaller pre-professional case with the elegant polished alpha hands. But the Fotina was just a little bit too heavy, even for me. Plus with Omega prices these days, that watch costs a full 2 times what I paid for this Broad Arrow. So I was tempted, but I didn't quite break. A new watch that just landed is this custom Bulova from friends of the channel at IFL Watches. Once in a while, IFL teases me with these new releases, and this one I just couldn't resist. A full disclosure, they did give me this watch, but I've been eyeing the Bulova Super Seville for a while now. This is a 70s inspired TV dial with a high frequency quartz movement that features a sweeping seconds hand. The 37.5mm case with a 10mm thickness makes it wear amazing. And the combination of a traditional square case with fluted bezel, an integrated bracelet with modern trimmings like sapphire crystal makes it perfect for those who want a modern package but a bit of that vintage style. The artist at IFL hand paints each dial, and damn, I'm a neurologist and these guys are 0% Parkinson's. This one, being New York themed, has an extra dose of nostalgia for me because I actually lived in Manhattan for 4 years. So if you want to get your hands on one of these Bulovas, they tell me it's a limited run of 300. Act fast. Next up is, I guess, my dress watch, kind of. This is the Cartier that breaks all the rules. The Cartier Santos 100, if you followed my Cartier journey, you'll know that I've had massive struggles finding the right Cartier for me. I like dress watches, but in this era of casual everything, I just don't have a lot of occasion to wear them. So for example, I had the Dumont, but I ended up passing on it. Even the regular Santos Medium was just a bit high polished for my taste. So when I met the 100, I didn't really know what I was looking at. This was a Cartier that was built like a Panerai. Its case had big shoulders, crown guards, its hand had loomed hands on a Cartier. It took me a while, but after a few weeks, I actually realized that this was the perfect Cartier for me. Finally, a Cartier I didn't have to baby. but it's still plenty refined on the croc leather. That strap is integrated into the bracelet and a buckle fits it together with a refined yet industrial looking butterfly clasp. This admittedly is not the Cartier for everyone. When I showed it to Andrew Morgan, he famously told me he hated it to my face. But I mean, you're supposed to like the Santos medium. The 100, that's like escargot or chicken feet. That's why I like it. Okay, for the next choice, which is my Grand Seiko, I'm gonna need a little bit of help from you guys in the comments. See, I've been between two Grand Seikos. Yeah, I know, first world problem. But I've had my Four Seasons Winter Edition for a few years now. Amazing watch. The dial is said to look like the wintry sky. The stock bracelet, granted, feels like a $500 Seiko bracelet, not $5,000. But I recently picked up the SBGX 341 Tough Quartz. Now I'm torn because I love both of these watches, but in very different ways. Yes, Max bought a quartz watch. The Seiko 9F quartz is said to be the quartz to rule them all, with sci-fi descriptions like thermal compensated anti-magnetic mumbo jumbo, and it's accurate to something like 10 seconds per year. So pretty ridiculous numbers. These two Grand Seikos have similar oyster bracelets, but I actually like that bracelet on the SBGX better because it's a sportier design with angular lugs and blocky crown guards. Plus, the stainless steel just has a heft to it that the titanium doesn't. So I don't know, guys. Let me know in the comments which Grand Seiko you'd vote for to stay in this collection. Second to last, probably the closest to a Gata watch in my collection, is the IWC Spitfire. Anytime I want to just grab a watch and go and not think about it, this is the one I reach for. With the black dial, it looks plenty classy, so you can dress it up. But look closer, the pilot watch aesthetic hails from the battlefield. The Spitfire has a bit of patina on the hands, which gives it a more character, in my opinion. That big triangle at the 12 is super charming, reminds the pilot which way is up. People always ask me, what gives IWC the right to charge so much for a style that's so ubiquitous? Why not just get a Hamilton or a Longines? And that's what I thought until I wore this watch for a week. And let me tell you, the devil is in the details. First of all, it's extremely thin for a sports watch at 10 millimeters, making it feel really refined. The tolerances are very high, everything feels super solid. The crystal has this crazy amount of blue AR. I fitted my watch on the Mark 18 bracelet, and it's super comfortable with the fine links. Plus, this has one of the best micro adjustment systems I've ever met. You can literally put this watch on the wrist, hit that button, and get a perfect fit. This is the epitome of the go anywhere watch. Last but not least, making a big statement is my Panerai PAM 177. So I think a lot of collectors spend years hating Panerai until you wake up one day and say, I need a Panerai. And that happened to me when I visited Evan, Mr. Terrific, in Portland and tried his watch on. A 44 millimeter watch I thought had no business wearing this well on my wrist. And when I put his watch on, I was like, oh shit. So the search began, and I eventually settled on this titanium Panerai from like 20 years ago. Now, you gotta respect the designers at Panerai. They've never really strayed from their classic dial design. And this look harkens back to the days when they were sticking their dials inside Rolex cases and selling them to the Italian Navy. The Luminor silhouette with that big half-moon crown guard is iconic. And this is a big watch at 44 millimeters wide and 50 millimeters thick, but some watches are supposed to be big. And this one really puts some hair on your chest. One look at the lume in a dark room, it will make you instantly fall in love. Okay, boys and girls, this is my collection part 1. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss part 2, which will feature my sexy Seikos and more. Take it easy. I'm gonna go rest my voice. See you in the next one.